Okay, so welcome everyone to the Transfer Center presentation. We're not going to present, we really just want to make this an opportunity for everyone to learn more about what we do as a center. My name is Nelly Marcial and I'm the director. We also have Nancy Guzman, who is our Transfer Center specialist. Our roles are quite different, but a lot of what we do overlaps. So just a little bit of history. I'm sharing the screen because honestly, I know everyone's probably tired of getting lectured, so we're just going to go over some of the things on our website. We have a great video that summarizes what the Transfer Center does, and it also summarizes how we got started. So we are funded through the grant, the Title V grant, which is for Hispanic serving institutions. However, we help all students. I was hired back in summer of oh my goodness, I'm forgetting, 2019. Uh, and Nancy was hired several months later in year 2 of the grant. I am happy to say that we were approved for a 3rd year, and in total we have 5 years with the grant. So we do have to meet a couple of milestones in order to stay in compliance. One of those is we have a cohort, which I'll let Nancy talk about that a little bit more in detail. That cohort is it's kind of our model group that we're trying to see how many of these students can we retain, how are we tracking their transfer success and their progress. That's part of our goal. Another goal is to create more transfer partnerships. I'm happy to see on here because we've worked with you on a couple of these partnerships, whether they've already been completed or are in progress of getting completed. A lot of the work that we're doing aligns with the Guided Pathways work as well. Currently, just this year, we had 19 new partnerships with 8 different institutions, and next year we hope to increase that to more partnerships and opportunities. There is also a lot of room for faculty to get involved so that we can continue to expand on these. I'll let Nancy talk a little bit more about her caseload, and then I'll also, in the meantime, pull up the milestones. Nancy?
Yeah, I'm here. So
Okay.
the Title V grant, as you all have, the significant grant from that giant, multi-million-dollar grant is the Transfer Center, which is just a small sliver of what the grant funds. And so within this, we focused on creating awareness and education for students around the transfer process. And that takes many different forms, but we have the website as one of the key resources. And then I've also taken the time to create these, self-help tools regarding transfer, which is what the transfer milestones are. It really breaks down the transfer process for students according to the number of credits that they have completed so that they can reference back as often as they need to and have something that lets them know, what to do every step of the way. But this is really just one tool out of the whole package that we're putting together. I've come up with a series of transfer workshops for students to attend and get more information about the transfer process. We offer a lot of transfer events, which are always listed on our website for students, and we collaborate sometimes with faculty on these events. And so they're really around transfer institutions, the transfer process, majors, financial aid. We really run the gamut, but the whole goal of this is to ensure that students get comprehensive support while they're at Triton to make a smooth transition over to the university of their choice. Transferring doesn't happen by accident, though many students have transferred without the help of the Transfer Center. But we really are wanting to improve the process for students more generally. Um, and so that's a little bit about what we offered. I know Nelly briefly mentioned the cohort, the caseload that I have. So aside from being a central hub on campus for student information, Transfer Center, because it is a grant, needs to prove that we are trying strategies and we're innovating and that we have some successful outcomes. And so I personally advise a number of about 700 students from the very beginning of their time at Triton to their graduation and hopeful transfer to a four-year school. We can think of this as our test subject group if we're thinking about it in research terms. And so that's where a lot of those future successful outcomes will come from. But even though the Transfer Center has only been around Triton for a year, really, this spring semester we were able to highlight students who have successfully made it to a four-year school. Some with a full ride, some with very high scholarships, some earning competitive scholarships along the way, and they've all really reflected on their time and have shared that the Transfer Center was a really great resource for them as they were working through that process. So that's all I have, Nelly.
Thank you, Nancy. So a lot of people ask, what's the difference between you and the advisor? So I do want to reiterate that it is just a team of two of us, Nancy and myself. Nancy does have the caseload. I do a lot of event planning and partnerships, as mentioned earlier, which is a big part of the grant. We do work very close with student-facing areas. We do report to the deans in arts and sciences, and that is because they wrote the grant, so they have the most comprehensive knowledge about it. However, we do work closely with a lot of the student services areas, and we're constantly promoting different professional development opportunities to advising, just because they're the biggest leaders for our students when it comes to promoting certain events, certain partnerships that we have, and also telling students on what courses to take, because Nancy only sees 700 students. The rest of the advisors see I don't know, maybe 5,000 students plus who want to transfer, and I'm making up a number, I really don't know, but we do know that more than half of the students when they apply to Triton College indicate that they want to transfer out. And so it wouldn't be possible for us to see everyone, which is why we have these larger scale events as well as the transfer workshops, so that we can see as many students as possible in one setting. We also have these partnerships that we're trying to build upon, because yes, a lot of these were in existence when before I started, but we always have the opportunity to do more. And so I'm going to go into these in more detail. The guaranteed admissions agreements, pretty much when students apply to these, they have to have at least 12 credit hours already earned. They must have at least a 2.0 GPA. With UIC, they want at least a 3.0. And must follow a certain, the same admission requirements. The nice thing about these programs is that they get a seat saved for them at that institution. However, they still have to make sure that they are seeking out the right courses every semester, and that they are up to par with all of their admission requirements. But those are some of the benefits, is that they get an advisor not only at Triton College, but also at that institution that will help guide them along the way. And I'm really happy to report that a lot of these numbers more than doubled since we've been around. And I think a lot of that has just been a lot of intentional outreach. One of the things that we do is we work closely with institutional research on making sure that we email, certain a caseload of students and let them know, hey, this is something that you're eligible for. And so when we send out messages, we have the ones that are sent to all students that are under an AA and AS or some AS degrees. But then we also have these exclusive partnerships for students who have only the criteria who meet requirements. So we're not going to send all emails or all messaging to all students, because it really does depend on where they fall and whether they meet the criteria to apply to these. Transfer pathways are similar to what we just talked about. The exception is that these are not just to Triton. These are for any student that is a transfer student. So, for example, Illinois State University being a top transfer destination for education majors, they also have something similar to guaranteed admissions where they help transfer students along the way, and it's called the Redbird Promise. And then SIUC, which is another strong partner of ours, they have the Saluki Transfer Pathways. These are just some of the other ones that we've mentioned. As you may already know, we also have a university center. A university center is not under the Triton College Transfer Center, and it's been in existence for over a decade. It is a very unique opportunity for community colleges. Not all community colleges have a university center. We have a partnership with 6 different universities, and there is a different link from. And then they offer a specific number of majors on Triton's campus. So students never have to leave Triton College. They can complete these programs here as long as they're being offered at the time. Okay, and then we did do some transfer talks with Governor State. So if you have the opportunity to, take a look at these, we did this with faculty from Triton College as well as faculty from Governor State University to just talk about the benefits of this partnership that we have. Governor State has been amazing to work with. They really do cater a lot to students, and some of the benefits from the university partnerships is that they even provide a discount or they freeze tuition for students. At Governor State, they freeze tuition. At National Louis and Benedictine, they actually provide a discount to students. So those are some of the great things about that partnership. We also have 3+1 agreements, which means that a student completes a degree in 3 years at Triton. They complete their associate's degree and an extra year, and then they only have 1 year left at the 4-year institution, which essentially saves them a lot of money. We have that partnership with Concordia, and we also have it with Benedictine University, and we're going to soon have it with Lewis University and their criminal justice program. We also have 2+2 agreements, which are essentially a transfer guide. 2+2 is, I think, a very antiquated term, unfortunately, because not every student takes 2 years to complete an associate's degree and then 2 years to complete, 2 additional years to complete the bachelor's. But unfortunately, everyone still has that terminology. And so the 2+2 transfer agreement is essentially a transfer guide. It tells students that if you take the specific number of courses at Triton, then you can transfer successfully into their program. And I'll just go ahead and click on one so you can see what that looks like. It tells students, take these 2 years, and then once you're at the institution, you'll do all of your major courses there. And that's how they look. So aside from the specific partnerships, the other ones that students can use are the transfer guides. These are specifically on the university's website. So if we click on IIT, for example, it'll go to Triton College and all of the different transfer guides that they have. Like if a student wants to go into physics, it'll show the students what courses they should take from Triton College and how it will be equivalent at IIT. And so these guides that our transfer team uses, so Nancy, myself, but also the advisors, and this is what we're always trying to grow is these transfer guides, these transfer opportunities. I'm going to stop sharing right now. Okay. Yeah, and so those are the things that we're always trying to develop. This is also an opportunity for us to ask you if you want to be part of any, other guide, like you want to create one, you want to, you see an opportunity for your department to partner with a university, we can certainly go over the process on how that is done. Some of these can be very formal, some of these are a little informal. The transfer guides are not as difficult to create as something like a guaranteed admissions partnership, which requires through lawyers. But before I go into that, does anyone have questions about the Transfer Center, what we do, how we serve students, what the goals of the grant are? Yeah, we've covered a lot. No, okay. Yeah, so one of the things we've been fortunate that we have interns. We've had a couple of interns from AmeriCorps in the Transfer Center. We've also had, we currently have work study. The work study are helping us out with a lot of the outreach in social media. And we also have the intern who's been doing a lot of research. One of the research projects they did was they combined all of the different transfer guides that and partnerships that we have for specific majors. This is really to hopefully help guide us to see where it is that we have an opportunity to develop more transfer guides. Again, as faculty, if you want to be part of the developing of more guides, we're always happy to assist in the process. Really, it's identifying the institution, and a lot of the work comes on their end because they have to find out what's equivalent from our institution to theirs. And then it's just vetting back and forth between the faculty and our department as well as the institution. Again, for anything that is more formal, like we have right now, for example, a 3+1 agreement that is in the works with Lewis University. That one requires an MOU because a 3+1 also means a tuition reduction. It means a lot of commitment on our end. It means a lot of commitment on their end. And most of those are, people resources, like student facing, who's going to be the advisor, who's going to be on Triton's campus representing these different programs, and how is Triton going to help market these. So there's a lot of background work that goes into the MOUs. Memorandums of understanding for the other partnerships. But again, we're always open to creating more. Honestly, we just want to give students as many opportunities as we can. There have been some very innovative things that other community colleges have done. And honestly, I'm willing to try that out here at Triton College. That's pretty much it. What questions does everyone have? Anyone have? You can put them in the chat. You can unmute yourselves. And Nancy, is there anything that I maybe missed that I should add?
No, I think you covered everything. We're definitely always, like you said, again, looking to create new opportunities. There's a lot of things that Triton doesn't have that other schools definitely do. And so for our students to kind of remain competitive, we could work on those partnerships, certain majors, certain mentorship opportunities, whatever the case is. If you have ideas, just let us know.
Oh, I saw a question. Sorry.
So the question is there anything in particular we coordinators or faculty can do to help?
I mean, I would say there are a lot of events happening every week. I would encourage students to attend. I know that right now it's a little difficult because we don't have the in-person component. Nancy and I are working remotely, and honestly, universities are not coming out to visit us, even if we had the opportunity to do so. So universities are saying explore us virtually, whether it means taking a tour. I would say just, one of the things that I do when we have fairs or big events, I send it out to the deans, and the deans usually send it out to their chairs. Promote it to students, let them know about the importance of exploring. I think, unfortunately, sometimes students wait to start the transfer process very late. They wait until they're their last semester, sometimes they're second to last semester, and by then maybe they've taken the wrong courses. One of the things I see that a lot with is the science tracks, right? The science or anything that's math heavy. Even the education track, some of the education majors require very specific social behavioral science courses. And so if students don't know from day one or close to day one what they want to do or how they want to, what they want to, where they want to pursue their degree, they could end up taking the wrong things. And so regardless of whether you teach an intro course or an advanced level course, I think it's always important to, plug that into students' minds, the importance of starting to explore the transfer process. Nancy and I are happy to go to any classroom visits. I know it's been difficult, again, because of COVID, especially the level of engagement isn't always necessarily there, but we're still doing everything virtually in terms of fairs. For example, this Wednesday, we have a fair with, I believe it's 14 universities. So we've sent the students a weekly email. They already got it this morning. Every Monday morning they get that, and it summarizes everything that's happening throughout the week. I think that's a really good way to help if faculty know of a specific. I think one of the things that may help, and maybe Nancy and I can brainstorm on how we can do this, is just sharing, like, these are all of the different partnerships that we have with your specific area, and maybe faculty can help promote those partnerships, because I think some of the ones like criminal justice, for example, has been very successful in sending students to Governor State because of the partnership that we have with the University Center. And I think it might help if, everyone knows, okay, I know that we have these particular partnerships, these universities are great to work with. Let's talk to students about that. Not that that's the only school that they can go to, but it's an opportunity for them to look. I always tell students to have at least their top 3 schools, to pick from. And for that reason, they should start looking into the process early on.
And I would add, as faculty, you know your field best, and so if you know of schools that are better than others for like your certain programs to transfer to, definitely talk those up with students, because the students may not know, and they also may not know where to start, or they might feel overwhelmed. So they look to you as faculty for to be that source of information.
Mhm.
Talk about where you attended school, if that was somewhere nearby, or what your experience was like, because they really just want to hear it from others. And then from there, they're more likely to take it upon themselves to do a little bit more research.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree, Nancy. And some students don't come see us, or they don't go see their advisors, so they only see you. And hearing it from you might be the only time they hear it too. So anything you have to say is going to stick to them. I've seen it usually at events. When I survey students, I'll ask, like, how do you hear about us? And I always include faculty, because a lot of the times it's faculty. It's not always through, oh, I heard it from the transfer center, I heard it from Nancy. We only touch a minuscule amount of students compared to the amount of students you see. Any other questions? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And Michael, I would also say, in your field, a lot of the questions I get primarily are around the difference between computer science and computer information systems, and what those different tracks transfer out to. And so talking about what the experience at a university level would be like helps students put in perspective where they might see themselves, either in the very technical computer science track, or in the more hands-on information science, or maybe a blend of business and IT. So yeah, definitely talking about that and the difference is really, really helpful. I've actually presented to the Computing Society a couple times. So if you oversee clubs and organizations, I'm happy to come to present to them as well. That's another key point to connect with students.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks
Um,
everybody for stopping by.
yeah, we hope to hear from you soon and work with you in the future. All right.